Hello and welcome to a new venture from us at the Bilgecast crew, the gaming podcast, Bilgecast Gaming Edition. I'm Ollie Johnson. I'm here with Sam Congrave and Ian Burrows. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good. So, guys, what you been playing this week?
Well, honestly, I've been playing Destroy All Humans 2, well, 1 on the PS2, and my wife's been playing Mass Effect 2 here and there.
Awesome.
That's really been about my time. Really. It's not really been that interesting, sadly.
Cool. And Ian, what you been playing this week?
Well, I've been playing a bit more of Berserk and the Band of the Hawk.
Oh, what's that like? I don't actually know that one.
Well, it's just based on like the manga series Berserk.
Yeah. I don't know the manga series Berserk. What is the gameplay like?
Well, it's made by the same people who did Dynasty Warriors.
Ah, so it's a Warriors game, basically. Yeah. So, one-man army, hack and slash, charge through loads of people, brouhaha, that kind of thing.
Kind of thing, but with more blood.
Well,
yeah,
yes, because Berserk.
Known for so much more blood.
Oh, yeah. And I've also been playing Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter.
I have that, but I haven't played it much. I'll have to get into that so we can play it together sometime.
And
Yeah. Sam, sorry, what was that?
I said same.
Yeah. I have been playing Death Stranding. I've done a couple of streams of that, solo ones. It's a very interesting and it's a very calming game to stream because it's basically I say calming. Some of it's very bloody tense, but if you do it's oh no, right, fuck it. I'm playing Shenmue at the moment, right? And something is wrong because for his job, I've got to move crates between warehouses, and I keep forgetting to pick this or that one up. But yeah, I'll get to Death Stranding in a bit. But yeah, I've also been playing Shenmue a lot this week.
The 3's out in a few days.
Yeah, I'm getting it in the mail.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and it's a PS4. So I'm wondering if the collectibles from 1 and 2, which are now also on PS4, will carry over. So I wanted to do a completionist run just in case. And I tell you what, some of the capsule toys in Shenmue are a fucking nightmare to get.
Weird question. I know this isn't topical, but in terms of voice actors, do you know Kylie Hurnett?
That is not a name I know. No, should I?
Okay. I'm just checking because it's one of the voice. I've just found the name of the voice actress because I mentioned earlier the person who's playing Ryuko in My Hero Academia.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it'll be a name I know before too long then.
Yeah, I love that character.
Yeah.
Go on.
Right, but because there's one way to get there are 2 capsule toys that you can only get in Shenmue 1. You cannot get them in Shenmue 2, and the rest of them I think you can. And they're the Mr. Yukawa figures. I think he's the guy that's on the pack of batteries that you buy in the store. Do you know the one I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I've got about 12 of one of them and 6 of the other. The reason I've got so many is because that one store with the Sonic figure machine outside it, you know the one.
Yes.
The raffle prizes there are rare figures. And, prize number 5 is any random capsule toy that you can get out of the machines. 4 is a choice between Space Harrier, Rent-A-Hero, the something brothers, I can't remember the name, or the Bonanza Brothers, or what looks like an Afterburner arcade machine in capsule toy form. 3 and 2 are the Mr. Yukawa figures, and number 1 is a Dural figure, either silver or gold. But here's the thing: you don't get to choose which one you win. So I have 3 silver Dural figures and no gold ones. And it also creates the very interesting scenario that the Ryo Hazuki that I am currently playing as in this playthrough of Shenmue is A problem gambler, and B, a fucking child.
So he's basically perfect for today's exploitation.
Yeah, because, well, basically, what my Ryo Hazuki tends to do is get his allowance, go to that store, and spend all his money on crisps and chocolate to try and do raffle tickets. Now, he's also the luckiest son of a bitch canonically in the world, because I've been save scumming it. You see, which is where you save scumming.
I met Ryo Hazuki when he was in Project X Zone and was just more mystified by being around people like Heihachi Mishima or Majima.
Yeah, and save scumming. What I mean by save scumming is I've been saving right before I buy a bar of chocolate or a packet of potato chips for a raffle ticket, and if the raffle ticket doesn't win anything, I come out of the game and try again, like reload it.
Save stating is fine. To be honest, I did the same thing with. Because when RNG is involved,
yeah,
you RNG is.
You're gonna save scum.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to explain to our audience what RNG is, because when your game relies on it for certain things, it's a bad thing. But I wanted a thing in a game I play, an RPG game I play called Digimon Cyber Sleuth.
Yeah.
Because there's a way to XP grind to a stupid degree. There's like certain Digimon who have an ability to like double or triple the EXP you get. So if you get 3 of them, and then you equip them with a thing called a Tactician USB, you get even more EXP, like stupid amounts that'll level you up from like level 1 to 80 in one go. But getting the Tactician USBs requires that you go to your Digi farms where you put your Digimon, have them at a certain personality trait, which you can change through digital discs, and then set them to search. And then you wait till the last second or the last minute and you save. Then, if they don't find a Tactician USB, you just quit the game, come back in and keep doing it again, and then just wait again, load up your save until you get it. So you're not the first person, you're not, a bad person for doing so. Sometimes you've just got to do these things.
Yeah. So my version of Ryo Hazuki is the luckiest son of a bitch on the planet, because every raffle ticket he draws is a winner, and every can he gets from a vending machine is a winning can. And yet he still spends all of his money on chocolate crisps and capsule toys because he's a fucking child. Never mind avenging your dad's murder.
Avenge your dad's murder. But I want to get all these Sonic the Fighters things. They're from a game that's not even out yet. Sonic didn't exist in 1986.
It's true.
Sonic the Hedgehog himself didn't in 1986. Neither did Knack the fucking Weasel.
And I know this because Sonic is as old as I am. He was born in 1991.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that Sonic wasn't born until 1991, as you said. So definitely Knack the Weasel shouldn't be in a game set in 1986.
Even in figure form.
Knack the Weasel didn't even exist until like 1996 or something.
Also, Ryo owns a Sega Saturn in 1986.
Yeah. I don't know how to respond to that in general, but Canon, go fuck yourself. Oh, that's another thing. He's technically speaking, he's been teamed up with Seigata Sanshiro.
Seigata Sanshiro.
Remember, Project X Zone is like a crossover game where they get transported to like modern times and stuff, which is why you can have Ryo Hazuki somehow team up with Majima and Kiryu, Heihachi Mishima and the Mishima family, who seem to know who Kiryu and Majima are, by the way.
Right.
And also the Resident Evil character. So maybe when he got sucked through the time thing, or the universe thing, he probably grabbed the console and took it back with him. I'm just
As a
saying
promise to Segata Sanshiro that he has to play the Sega
well,
Saturn.
Oh yeah, Segata Sanshiro was in the game as well, and he's terrified of the Yakuza characters because of how over the top Majima is. Though Heihachi absolutely loves him. But then again, Heihachi also for some reason loves the guy from Ace Attorney because he got him off with murder.
Segata Sanshiro.
I'm not even joking about that. The guy from Ace Attorney literally got Heihachi Mishima off of murder.
Oh, well, he's a good lawyer.
Yeah.
uh,
But I'm just for the fact that Ryu Hazuki has been in the same game. He's even on the cover of Project X Zone 2, along with Ryu from Street Fighter, Akira from Virtua Fighter, Kazuya, Kiryu Kazuma, Phoenix Wright, Dante from Devil May Cry, Mega Man, Leon from Resident Evil 4, and the chick from Space Channel 5, along with Shinobi.
oh wow.
Yeah, this is a well, the game on the back it even says the games that are involved in this include Resident Evil Revelations, Resident Evil 6, the Street Fighter series, Devil May Cry, Mega Man X, Ace Attorney, Strider, Darkstalkers, Star Gladiator, Captain Commando, Yakuza Dead Souls, Virtua Fighter, Renaissance of Fate, Sakura Wars, Shinobi, Nightshade, Space Channel 5, Shenmue, Segata Sanshiro, Streets of Rage, Soul Calibur 5, God Eater, Tekken, Tales of Vesperia, Hack, Namco X Capcom, Adventure of Valkyrie, Xenosaga, and Summon Night 3. Oh, and also guest characters from Fire Emblem Awakening and Xenoblade Chronicles. That's a fucking big-ass crossover.
Yeah.
Avengers thinks it's the most ambitious crossover ever.
That is quite an ambitious crossover.
Well, this is only the second one. The first one exists as well.
Yeah. Now, also, okay, so that's what I've been doing on Shenmue. I'm currently at the bit where he's got the forklift job, and I don't know whether to, get on with the story, or, because I've got to the bit where you can keep...
You've had your childhood, you've spent all of your allowance on sweets and toys.
I still haven't got Gold Jewel, but you can
Ollie?
get that in Shenmue 2.
Ollie?
Yeah.
You are a grown-ass man now, and like every grown-ass man, you've got to avenge your dead father.
Fair.
I had to avenge my grandpappy, just like he had to avenge his grandpappy, whenever some random Chinese man that happened to be a martial artist who'd happened to be connected to a mystical Chinese artifact that was found, came to kill him.
Right.
So you have to continue the cycle.
Yeah. But, here's the thing. I'm at the point in the game where the story won't progress until I talk to Mark, the guy that he works with.
Yeah, I know Mark.
So
just remember, well, Ollie, you can't spend too much time fannying about because there is a time limit in the game.
it is Christmas Day where I have... hold on. It is Christmas Day where I am, and you have to finish the game by April 15th. I've looked it up.
Okay, so you've got a few months to actually finish the game.
Although it does affect how much time you get to finish Shenmue 2.
Of course.
Yeah.
So maybe
I was thinking of maybe working at the harbour for another month or so to like raise some money to spend on collectibles in Shenmue 2.
Are you going to save state yourself there as well?
Well, there wouldn't be much point because like I've got to... Well, the story won't progress until I talk to Mark, so as long as I don't, I can just keep working at the harbour and saving up more and more money.
I guess.
Yeah.
What I mean is, are you going to save state when you get off the boat and go to those stalls that give you all the capsule toys?
I might. And then I'm going to buy a buttload of scorpion lighters, because that's a thing.
Of course you will. So... But yeah, on my end, what we've been doing is Liz has been doing the Mass Effect series for now, but the original PS3 ones, not the Andromeda one.
Right.
Working up to that.
The other thing I've
Liz-
been playing, as I said, is of course Death Stranding.
Yeah, Liz watched a bit of Death Stranding, a bit of the Death Stranding thing. She said it looked interesting.
Watch the first 20 minutes or so on. He's an Irish YouTuber that kind of does like playthroughs with video commentary in the corner.
Yeah.
Well,
And he got a week early release, like review copy.
Jack Skepticeye.
But he put it up after the main release.
yeah.
But I watched about the first 20 minutes because I can only watch a wee bit of him, and then he really starts to annoy me. But the first 20 minutes looked really interesting. It had a good flow and graphics.
Well, Liz's only real exposure to anything Hideo Kojima has done is the few bits of metal, the entire bit of the Twin Snakes that she watched me play. So a bit of Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, played any of them, but I've watched them be played.
Just wait till you get to Snake Eater. I still think you'd like that because of the whole you have to eat and everything while you're in the jungle and everything to get your stamina. So hunting animals, and I still love killing the fear off by, shooting poison dart frogs and leaving them down. So when his stamina goes down, he eats them and it actually starts killing him.
Yeah. Are we actually live?
Maybe. But again, we've been playing Mass Effect, which honestly, you can tell that the first one was made solely for PC because of just it's so fucking weird to play on a PS3 console.
Right.
The second one is good, although I had to explain to Liz my first experience playing it because I didn't have the when I first got it. Like my internet was being connected that very weekend that I picked it up, and if you don't have the patch on the PS3 version, you can only play a literal hour of the game before it saves and crashes, and then you have to turn the game on and then play another hour to progress.
Right.
It was an annoying thing, but once you have the patch installed, it's no longer a problem. And Liz is doing that whole making all the decisions in the previous games to carry them over to the next one, just to affect certain things. Because let's face it, it doesn't affect the ending much.
Yeah. Right. So as I was saying, I think I've got about 5 hours into Death Stranding, and so far, it is peak Kojima. It's not Metal Gear, and I doubt I'll ever like it as much as Metal Gear, but you can definitely tell that it is a Hideo Kojima game.
Well, remember the old saying he actually said is that a good politician is someone who can talk for hours and say nothing. Kojima could talk now and be Emperor of the Universe by the end of lunchtime. Seriously, his games are... You see, Kojima doesn't approach video games the same way everyone else does. Yeah. Some people, especially now, approach video games as they're just a thing to sell and, what tropes you can put in the game will sell. Some people just want to tell a story, like what the original Final Fantasy was meant to be, but Kojima literally approaches everything he does in the same way that a really passionate artist, goes into things, because he does treat video games themselves as art quite literally.
Yeah. Well, there's also, I feel like I have got to mention this because it's, there is the, I haven't seen the thing myself, but apparently there is, text in the game, this is part of the background and world building stuff, that says asexuality was to blame for the downfall of humanity, or something like that. And the asexual community is not happy, understandably. I think,
you know who else
overly
upset about that?
Who's this?
Todd.
Todd. Yeah,
Sorry,
the overly sarcastic Twitter account had a...
In Death Stranding, the reason the world's in a shit state is because of asexuality.
I don't know that that's what they're saying, but I saw, it is at the very least being, I think,
blamed.
Not blamed, but maybe presented as a contributing factor. You
So
know?
is it not being contributed as it's maybe just a smear campaign by other people to blame something else to avoid the actual problem?
Well, no, it's like the assertion is never challenged apparently. So it's like,
Oh god.
so Overly Sarcastic Productions commented on it. I assume this was read because, correct me if I'm wrong, she seems to be that way inclined, or at least
I wouldn't know.
because of. But I'm basing this on some of the things she said in videos that sort of imply at least something like that, if not that itself. But I don't want to make assumptions. But she said, "Wow, I knew Hideo Kojima was or I don't know who it was. I'm just kind of assuming it was Red, to be honest. But whichever one it was said, wow, I knew Hideo Kojima was the type to read the first paragraph of a Wikipedia article on something and then chuck it into his game, but Jesus Christ." Alright, I'll see if I can find the thing.
Well, the reason I brought up Mass Effect was because you know why Andromeda failed?
Because it was shit.
Yes, but on a technical reason as to why it failed and why, even after they fixed it, nothing worked. You know, basically, it was released without it being fixed. There was a bunch of other problems with the people involved, including some really crazed racist guy who worked on it and everything. There's all kinds of crazy shit that went on with Andromeda.
The whole Atlas thing, the project.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Also, all the people being stolen from the project.
I found the image of the I found the offending image of the casual aphobia. It's called An Asexual World, who Councillor Wearbridge's HQ 3 years ago. Records suggest that the widespread aversion towards physical contact and intimacy was a phenomenon that had been observed even before the Death Stranding. One contemporary report, for example, details the increasing popularity of the sexless lifestyle among young people. A growing percentage of the younger cohort were self-identifying as asexual, claiming to be incapable of feeling desire for or attraction. Accordingly, such individuals were less likely to have children or engage in sexual activity. It should be noted, however, that many other unique sexual identities were being recognized during this period, such as demisexuals, who are incapable of sexual attraction without an emotional connection, and pan-romantics, who profess an attraction unrestricted by sex or gender, albeit one not necessarily sexual in nature. One theory posits that the Stranding accelerated the proliferation of these sexualities. In a terrifying new world in which BT's roam and annihilation is an everyday occurrence, people have grown reticent to form emotional connections with others. That's not how anything works. Although there has been no measurable decrease in human fertility, the birth rate has nevertheless dropped dramatically. Incidents of sexual harassment and assault have also seen a sharp decrease, which seems to suggest that sex could not be further from our minds. For better or for worse, I must preempt myself by admitting that I do not have any empirical data, and that's as far as the screenshot I've got goes. It's like, so yeah, no, that's not how that works. That's not how anything works.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but if I could, if I could be killed by invisible handprint monsters tomorrow, I probably wouldn't turn down the chance for sex if it turned up.
Even with those invisible hand monsters.
What?
Even with the invisible hand monsters?
Oh, no. We don't know much about them yet, at least the 5 hours in that I am. But, there's a lot of good world building in the game, apart from that. Like the Timefall, which is rain that ages whatever it touches. And, you see plants growing in it rapidly as you walk around. The level of detail in this game is astounding. But
so it's basically like Triple H's reverse aging ray.
Yeah, but it works in reverse. Now, here is something that tells me something about the handprint monsters. They're called BTs. They're invisible monsters and they leave handprints everywhere. But here's something that tells you how terrifying or how terrified these people are of them. There's a bit early in the game where you're transporting a corpse to an incinerator on a truck. Because you've got to incinerate corpses in this world. Like, if corpses are left unattended, they basically go nuclear or something similar to that.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and you don't burn the corpses, they just explode.
Where the time fall came from.
Yeah. If it has explained where the timefall came from, I don't know yet. But, so you're... Oh, spoiler alert, by the way. So your truck is run off the road. It's pretty early in the game, so I think most people who are interested will have got here. So, it's like an hour or two in. And then the person driving the truck is thrown out of the window and the truck is on top of him and he's screaming, right? Like, he's being crushed to death and rained on, so you see him aging as well. And then a BT comes along and even he shuts up and stops himself breathing to avoid, attracting their attention.
Oh.
That's how terrified these people are of these monsters, that someone with a truck on top of them that is already dying and aging to death is sufficiently scared of them to manage not to scream in pain in that situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically, they're basically the equivalent of the in-laws.
Basically.
Shh.
Yeah. And then someone doesn't quite manage to shoot himself before one grabs him, and then he repeatedly stabs himself with a knife while he's being dragged off. So it's like
they're probably taking them off to watch Dark Fate.
So we don't know what these BTs do to these people at the time I am in the game, but we know that they're sufficiently scared of them that those are things that they choose to do rather than face them.
Maybe they take them off. Maybe they take them off to watch Dragon Ball Evolution.
Well, that would prompt that reaction in me.
Yeah, but the reason I brought up the whole thing with Andromeda as well was mainly due to the whole video game companies' reputations have been falling quite fast, haven't they?
Oh yes.
2K's has been falling for about 2 years, but to begin with, it was just with their NBA games. But recently, their whole thing with WWE, because of the way Andromeda went, I don't know if them doing anything will help, seeing as Andromeda was eventually fixed. It's just by the time they fixed it, it was too late and the damage had been done.
Yeah.
To the point where it actually killed the franchise. Meanwhile, with WWE's thing, you've got AEW's game on the way.
Well, we don't know how AEW's game is going to be, but if it's like AEW's product so far is infinitely more watchable in my eyes than WWE.
And of course, Game Freak just now has an entire hashtag going on of Game Freak lied, so their reputation's down a bit.
I cannot get on board with these complaints with the new Pokemon game just because of how toxic some of them are becoming. It's like
I agree with the whole getting mad about the National Dex thing was a ridiculous thing to begin with. However, I can see why people are upset that basically they said they'd done all this stuff to the game and they've just copy-pasted stuff from the previous game, so it's just...
Allegedly.
3DS... No, it is. It is literally that. They've shown the data mining and even shown the actual animations they've put into the new Switch game, and they are literally copy-pasted from the 3DS game to the point where entire cutscenes from the game are just cutscenes from another game, but they've just used another model to do it. Some of the Pokemon don't move at all. Like, there's no animation in any of them, and most of them are just lifted from the 3DS game completely. There's literally no difference. Although I did laugh when someone did a joke one where it said data mining has shown that Hagrid from the PS1 Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone will be in. And they've literally got him in one of the battles.
Yeah.
But Game Freak have also said that they know people aren't happy with the game, but they intend to just go forward to keep doing the exact same thing they've just done. So, some people have said that this was just a laziest excuse for a Pokemon game they've done. But if you follow the Pokemon games for years, they've always been lazy to a degree.
Well, they've been formulaic, sure, but
They've been, well, to be fair, when they got to 3D, it was a bit different because naturally they added animations. But the only way to really work with Pokemon games in general is to make them challenging. You've got to really make the effort yourself, which is why the Nuzlocke challenge even exists.
yeah. I mean, Pokemon games haven't been especially difficult for a while, and you'd understand why, because the target audience is not. Well, I'm not saying there is no overlap between audiences for Pokemon and, say, Dark Souls or something, but, there are two very different design philosophies.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that I still say that Digimon Cyber Sleuth, the games on the PS4, do Pokemon better than Pokemon at this point.
I see.
And this is from someone who has played all the Pokemon games up to the new Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I didn't play those ones. And just picked up the Cyber Sleuth games because I wanted an RPG to play. Oh, and I got some more info on Persona 5 The Royal, if you're interested.
Go on.
Well, I know you haven't played much of it, but I wanted to see what the actual difference was apart from new character.
Right.
And, well,
I'll get to Persona 5 eventually.
Well, the thing is that when you're at school, you never get to do the third semester of school for plot reasons. I won't explain what it is, but like an entire semester of school is gone from the game for plot convenience reasons. However, the new one seems to be dealing with alternative realities. So at one point, there's a character in the game that specifically dies at a certain point or just disappears from the game completely. But in the Royal, seems to be available as a regular party member like everybody else.
Right.
And in fact, there's a new last boss. So you get to do the entire third semester of the game. So you get all the time you didn't get in the last game. There's a load of new areas and places to go, including new personas. Although it also seems like they've changed the story enough that the last boss from the last game is quite far back now, considering all the time you get in the game. And there's an entirely new last boss, but unfortunately I can't read enough Japanese to understand who he is.
Right.
But it's enough to justify it as a completely different game. At this point, from what I've seen, everything they've done is enough to justify it as a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Or alternative version of an alternative remake of the game.
Yeah. Kind of like Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, I've heard. I recently started that. Apparently, I wasn't supposed to start Dark Souls 2 with Scholar of the First Sin because it's harder. And it's like, that's the only version that was available to me. I've finished Dark Souls twice now, by the way. I've got both endings. And then I tried, like, New Game Plus Plus. And then it started feeling like, it started feeling like the early game of Dark Souls is supposed to feel, except that I didn't really have the opportunity to level myself over that difficulty curve this time. So I figured, I'm not going to bother finishing it again. But yeah, I got really into Dark Souls for that few weeks. Yeah, it's a very good RPG.
Oh yeah, well, I've been hungry for good RPGs for a while, hence why, again, I'm waiting for Persona 5 The Royal, which, again, won't be out till next year. And, well, the Digimon Cyber Sleuthing. Although I have to tell you this, getting the DLC for the Hacker's Memory, if you have the PS4, it's annoying as hell. If you have it for the Switch, it's not a problem.
Ah, I see.
Basically, the Switch has all the DLC already on the game.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Speaking of the Switch, I did recently pick up, because I traded in well, as you said, I traded in quite a bit that one time. I've had for a bit and not yet tried Fire Emblem Three Houses. I haven't tried it yet, but I've heard that there is permadeath, kind of like Valkyria Chronicles, in that
Nice.
if one of your I don't know what kind of formation the characters take, but if one of your squad, I suppose, dies, that's
They're
it.
just dead.
They don't come back. And I remember how heart-wrenching that was in Valkyria Chronicles. I still haven't got Valkyria Chronicles 4, but oh god, there's too many games at the moment. Pokemon
Yeah.
and Star Wars came out on the same day, and that was a week after Death Stranding, and I got Shenmue 3 coming to me in a few days.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because the way I had to get the DLC for the new Digimon game on the PS4 was because I'm a year too late. The day one DLC wasn't available.
Right.
So what I ended up doing was I looked on the store; it's not available. So I asked around, and there are actually two ways to get it. A, go on eBay and spend 99p on a code.
Yeah.
B, go to Namco's website, open an account, and then you have to. But you can just get a code given to you for free, but unfortunately it's not very reliable. Or I have a friend who happens to have the Switch and the PS4 version, and she happened to have a spare code that she gave me to get these extra Digimon and some of the extra day one stuff. I thought that's annoying to get, to be able to finish your, the equivalent of your Pokedex effectively.
Yeah.
So, but needless to say, I got it anyway.
Cool.
But I thought that's the most over-the-top way in which to get DLC.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've been playing a bit of Crash Nitro Kart and not falling into the whole pay to get coins thing, because that's still fucking stupid. They ruined it.
They ruined it.
Yeah, although funny enough, when they mentioned that thing the other day, I know you probably watched that news thing of that guy that kid who said that we need to stop teaching World War II in schools.
I have not heard this, but
there was this guy on TV who was saying that we need to stop teaching World War II in schools because it'll trigger or upset people too much because of the emotional trauma of what World War II was. And this sparked a lot of things of people going, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Right.
My response was, you'd be surprised what part of English history isn't taught in English schools. So, the fact you can't, and the reason that this stuff is terrifying is because it was meant to be. It's meant to stop you from, future generations from doing it again. But then I said, if we did ban it, would my Valkyria Chronicles game seem a bit more original?
Possibly.
Because, it's just World War II.
Yeah.
That's all it is, except they're putting people with dark hair in camps.
Yeah. Right, well, we should probably wrap up soon because it's getting kind of late, but before we do...
Ian, you haven't really said much.
Yeah, I was about to talk about the Sonic movie.
Yeah, that's what I was about to segue us into. Before we do, there's been an update with the Sonic movie. Ian, why don't you lead us with this one?
Alright. Well, as we know before, when they first released the trailer, about months ago, it was horrendous.
It was an eldritch abomination of a rendering.
I want to jump in and say that now that we've got a bit different Sonic, can we call this version the Sonic version?
Sure. I don't see why not.
Sure.
Well, they listened to the fans, so I think you were going to go into, the fact they changed, that it just looked so goddamn awful to the point that it was uncomfortable and the internet had a field day.
Yeah.
Remember that girl picture I sent of Sonic at one point that was oddly more appealing than the crap we got?
Yeah.
And And as you know, recently they re-released another trailer with a better-looking Sonic.
I still haven't seen the trailer, but I've seen images of the Sonic, and it actually looks like Sonic.
Yeah, he looks miles better. He doesn't have that whole narrow eye thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a person in his first furry suit.
And from what I saw of new Sonic aside, everything else about the trailer was pretty good.
Honestly, I'm still waiting to. I mean, the stuff I've got from other people is congratulations, they fixed the worst part of the Sonic movie, which was basically Sonic's design. Now the other thing is seeing how the other bad stuff works out.
I mean, the best thing to approach this is don't consider it canon.
Well, that's the way I consider games these days, or anything with that Ian Flynn's made.
Yeah, just don't consider it canon, okay? Just treat it like its own separate thing, and then you'll be fine.
I mean, my only issue. I mean, I've always.
I have never understood why everyone gives such a massive shit over canon in any given thing.
Yeah, well, I only use canon as a joke when people go on about their ships and they go, "What sinks ships?
Canon.
Cannon." Boom.
Oh.
But the thing is, Sonic has so many different origins and so many different stories because, again, the problem with Sonic overall was that when he first came over, Japan didn't really give a solid story as to what Sonic was meant to be, and everyone was supposed to take their own different version. I mean, God forbid the people who take the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic Underground's canon seriously.
Smell that pollution.
No, that is the good Robotnik. That is the good Robotnik. Oh, yes, smell that pollution. Oh, that's good. Good. Yes, it really tickles the cockles of my heart. Excellent work, Smedley.
And then you got Snooping as usual, Robotnik.
Snooping is... Yeah, that version of Robotnik that was designed because the guy had a thing for gimps.
And that was the one that stuck with us.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons. I mean, Robotnik's always been over the top, especially in the modern Sonic, when they gave him a voice. But I think Jim Carrey's doing it a bit too much.
Because it's Jim Carrey, you wouldn't expect.
That's the problem. I don't see him as playing Robotnik. I see him just playing himself because the only role where he's felt like it's natural to act the way he does is when he was playing Ace Ventura. But he plays that version of himself in everything he does. I'm getting more vibes of the Riddler from Batman Forever than I'm getting Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, well, there are certain actors that are always going to have that threat.
Jim's been gone for so long that, yeah, it will seem fresh to a few people, but, yeah, this is all Jim Carrey's capable of doing. But I've always had a problem whenever they have Sonic with, other humans. It doesn't always work out well. But I do know that CGI is expensive as fuck.
Yeah. Mind you, if Detective Pikachu can be as good as it was, I'm going to see this film more out of morbid curiosity than anything else. I'm not expecting it to be good. Because this is the same studio that, apart from that originally thought that design of Sonic was a good idea. So who knows what the hell else they put in there that we didn't see in the trailer.
Let's not forget the first bit in the trailer when Sonic was in the Green Hill Zone.
That'll be cool.
I mean,
as long as oh god, you realise that if they'd kept Sonic's design that way, Knuckles would have looked very close to Ugandan Knuckles.
Oh god.
Think about the way Sonic was designed. Think of the way Sonic was designed compared to what he looks like now, and compare Ugandan Knuckles to Knuckles, and you will think that Ugandan Knuckles was actually the sketch.
Oh god.
Think about it and tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, I'm not even huge on Sonic, to be honest. It's like it's fine, but
I have also one thing, Ollie, Ian, that I think we should think. Sonic's arms are blue in this. Will Chris Chan suddenly mace people when he goes to vandalise the posters?
Don't call anybody.
Sonic get arrested again.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Basically, when Sonic Boom first came out, basically Sonic's arms were blue.
Right.
He was so angry about it. Chris Chan would go to GameStop, and he would vandalize all the copies of the game with his own photoshopped versions of it with pink arms, and then write messages on them saying, "Do not buy this game." And when he was asked to leave, he wouldn't leave because they said he was vandalizing, so they threatened to call the police. So then he basically assaulted one of the GameStop employees with mace.
I see. And this is a character you follow.
Your disappointment makes it all the more worth it.
Well, what actually happened was he vandalised the stuff, and then he got kicked out. And then next time he went back to the mall with his mum, he said he would meet her in the car because he has to go buy something for Skylanders. So he goes back to GameStop, and then someone saw him there, and they were like, "Look, you need to leave because you've caused him trouble." It's like, and for some reason he felt threatened. When they were just asking him politely, and then they're like, he's like, "No, I'm not going until I've made my purchase." And they're like, "Right, we're gonna have to call the cops." And then he just gets out his mace, and then he just walks out going, "Don't call anybody," and then just maces an employee and walks out.
He still doesn't get why he was arrested, but there we go.
And he did the same thing at Walmart.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Sonic movie looks
the whole thing
morbidly, curiously interesting.
That was where that whole thing of Jim Sterling sitting in the shower with a plushie going, "His legs are too long and his arms are blue."
No, I think when Jim Sterling did it, it was they made his eyes green.
The thing is,
but it's a legitimate thing that a crazy person did.
Well, the thing is, everyone hates Sonic Boom.
Do they?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a shit game and everything, the gameplay and all that.
The game barely worked, as I understand.
The game didn't work because it was a different studio working on it, and they had no idea what they were doing. And the real only way to make it playable was to exploit the fact that there was glitches that made Moon jump Knuckles.
Huh.
And the thing,
the only way to make it work.
Yeah. So everyone else was hating it for all the right reasons, whereas Chris, he just chooses the most mundane reason.
Well, what bothers you is what bothers you, I guess. But
yeah, but it's there's not agreeing with something, and then there's actually vandalizing property because you don't agree with it. It's like you going to them doing a Star Wars thing and then giving I don't know, changing it so that Luke's Skywalker
excuse me.
In a non-canon game, Luke's lightsaber's red, and then you start vandalizing the property.
I think in the old expanded universe that is thankfully no longer canon, Luke turned to the dark side at one point. I say thankfully facetiously. I don't know enough about the old expanded universe to care one way or the other, to be honest.
But even so, the point still stands that it's that kind of level of crazy.
Yeah. To be fair, I would believe that of some Star Wars fans.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Chris was that level of crazy. But then again, this is also the guy who buys DLC for video games he doesn't own.
Why?
Because he thinks that if he hates Xbox to the point where he called it Hexbox, and he wanted to support Sony. So he basically bought DLC for fuckloads of games he didn't own because he thought it was helping Sony in some way.
But that money doesn't go to Sony. It goes to the publishers.
I know.
I mean, it's the same thing with his recycling.
Don't you fucking dare.
Okay, is this a thing that I'm going to regret you bringing up on my podcast?
Yes.
That's it.
We're not going to, do not bring up the recycling he just mentioned when it comes to his video game habits, he made it very clear that he preferred the Sony consoles over the Microsoft ones. Fair enough, to the point where he may have fornicated with his PS3 at one point on camera. We don't talk about that, but he made it clear that he supported Sony enough. And Nintendo, he was apparently completely okay with Nintendo. Enough that he became he's the first ever Let's Player solely due to the whole. He did a Let's Play of Animal Crossing. But he did not. But yeah, he would buy DLC for games he never actually owned or played because he thought it would somehow help Sony, not realizing that's not how money works when you buy DLC.
Similar to the recycling.
Stop it.
And that's all I'm saying.
I know, but I will curse a hammy ha you at this point.
Was that an XL Saga reference? I seem to remember that.
Yeah. Well, Chris was a fan of XL Saga as well. It's the only anime he really actually watched. But yeah, he would basically do a thing similar to that, but he thought he could curse people. But he did it in public to actual people, thinking he could curse people.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work, but yeah. So yeah, the Sonic movie, I'm curious to see how it goes. I'm glad that they listened to the fans and were very respectful about it. I mean, also, funnily enough, cancellation. There's been a lot of positivity because one of the games I was pre-ordering has actually been cancelled till February because, I was going to do a Mega Man X run.
Yeah.
The ones that come after that are the Mega Man Zero games. And they were releasing a Zero collection in January, but apparently they've just said that there's a load of bugs in the PS4 version, and they've got to cancel it till February until it's fixed. And the support for it's been great. The whole take as much time as you can, you need to get it fixed. Yeah, we can wait a little longer for the game to be released, as long as we'd rather, the game actually work.
Yeah.
More positivity like that.
Right.
You don't need people telling us, fuck you, you'll like it, whether you like it or not. The Vince McMahon approach.
Oh, right. Okay, so we're coming up to the hour mark. I think this is a pretty good place to leave it. If there's anything else, guys.
The only thing I can think of is if we do make this a regular thing, I think we need to have a bit more of a structure.
Yeah. Well, how about if there is any news, we start with that. I'm thinking Fridays, because that's where the gaming news cycle tends to end, so if there is anything to talk about, that's when we'll know.
I was thinking that we could do something like, since all of us have been around long enough that we've had different experiences with different consoles and different games and everything, so I thought we could maybe share some stories on these podcasts of maybe some games we liked, some games that were disappointments, or things that we grew up with that we still play now.
Yeah.
I know that I know you especially, Ollie, have a few games that you grew up with that you still have.
Well, yeah. I have my old... Yeah, I'm playing Shenmue at the moment, and I have my original copy of that on the Dreamcast. And my Dreamcast in a cupboard about 2 feet from my right.
And you have that briefcase full of PS1 games.
Yep, I do.
Which you may or may not use to club people or crack nuts.
Well, if I ever become a professional wrestler, it's going to be one of the weapons that I run in with, which is kind of like the Money in the Bank briefcase.
You mean the one you roll in with?
Well, ideally I would get my legs fixed before becoming a professional wrestler.
Look, if Gregory Irons can wrestle with cerebral palsy, so can you.
Yeah, but Gregory Irons is never going to be a world champion, is he? Like...
You?
What?
Nor are you.
True, but I'd like at least the illusion of the chance at doing so. No, I actually don't know who Gregory Irons is. I cannot comment whether or not he will ever be a world champion. But that's a discussion for tomorrow, plug.
Well, Good going there, Albert Asswipe. Sorry, had to throw a Riley Flash thing in there for Ian.
Yeah, but no, what I mean is if, like, I find, like, maybe it's just because I'm so used to WWE, but I find it difficult to envision a disabled wrestler being given a fair shake.
Well, Ollie, again, if I've taught you anything about wrestling, it's that, weird shit happens, and we just accept that these things are happening. I mean, Brock Lesnar physically assaulted Vince McMahon this week, apparently, because he found out that he's losing his WWE title to Rey Mysterio for a short period. Also, I saw a meme on that whole thing of Brock Lesnar being attacked with a pipe, and it was a Grand Theft Auto San Andreas one. You know the bit at the beginning of the game where you go home and Big Smoke comes at you with a baseball bat going, "You just broke into the wrong house, fool!"
Yeah.
They just had that Rey Mysterio running out and clubbing him in the leg.
You picked the wrong house, fool!
Bang!
Oh, that part did make me laugh.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It would have been funnier as well if he'd legitimately injured Brock in some way.
But as I say, that's a discussion for tomorrow's podcast, which will be a wrestling one, where we will be counting down our 5 best and worst moments for wrestling.
That happened after 2010. But some of my worst moments are actually more WWE related.
Yeah.
But those are stories for tomorrow.
Yeah. Right, well, we will see you guys then. You can find us at the places listed at the bottom of the image. On the various video outlets. Or Ollie Games for my game stream archive. I'm doing Final Fantasy VIII with the guys, and occasionally a bit of Death Stranding. So, with that in mind... That's twitch.tv/OllieJohnson, all one word. With that in mind, thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.